Welcome to the lovely Zandvoort, home of Max Verstappen. This is top split PCup action. We're going to have to channel some of our inner Max Verstappen to convert this pole position into a race win. Lights are about to go out any second now. We get off to a decent launch. We're thinking immediately going on the defensive, going for the inside line and trying to stop any move from Jordan behind. The inside line here for turn number 1 is very powerful and it's very difficult to go around the outside. So we keep our first position through turn 1, which is always a good start. Coming up to the hairpin here, it was a tricky one for me. I was spinning out here a lot in practice, so just wanted to make sure I kept it together and didn't spin out unnecessarily on cold tires. We're going to cut now to the external view of that race start. As you can see, we got an okay start, not great, but it was okay. We went defensive immediately. Jordan nearly runs into the back of us, but he just keeps it together. Going to get a little onside here by the grandstand, but you're going to see we're going to come out into first position. And as we come up to the banked hairpin, you're going to see Jordan kind of thinks about a move up the inside, going for the shallower line. But the high line is the one you want to be on, as it slingshots you out and gets you a better run down the straight. In the infield section here, still on lap number 1, Jordan gets a big slide in the mirror there. As you can see, that's going to compromise him. Vladimir behind is going to take the position from him. So now we've got possibly a little bit of breathing room. We're about a second and a half ahead, and we're already thinking about managing our tires. I'm a little concerned because in practice I was killing my tires a little bit, and I didn't want to have an issue later on in the race. I knew a couple of the guys like Vladimir and Jordan were going to be pretty quick, and this one wasn't the highest strength of field. It was only a little under 2.2k, but it was definitely had a couple of fast guys. So starting lap number 2, nice little bit of a gap, 2 seconds, and we're going to see if we can manage that, manage our pace, manage our tires, and just keep it together. And as I said, I was spinning a little bit in this hairpin coming up in practice, so I just was going to take this a little cautiously on the cold tires as they warmed up. Run a little wide there onto the green. That's not good. It's going to slow your exit a little bit, and that's going to allow the cars behind to start catching up once again. The key for this race is 16 laps, and it's a bit of a killer on the left side front and left side rear, so you have to really manage the tires throughout this race. It's very easy to overdrive and kill your tires. We're going to cut here now to the start of lap number 3. As you can see, Jordan's got a nice little move down up the inside of Vladimir. He's going to go up the inside of turn number 1. Vladimir's going to have to concede the position, and now we got Jordan behind. Jordan was quick. He was very quick, so he's one to keep an eye on. He's only about 0.8 of a second there just as we come into the hairpin behind, but we don't get a great run, and that's going to compromise our exit. Vladimir does go up the inside of Jordan in the hairpin, which allows him to get back in front again. On to lap number 5. The gap to Vladimir behind is about 0.8 seconds coming into turn number 1. We're just about keeping that gap pretty stable, pretty managing it. They do close up a little bit into turn number 1, but we are going to get a better exit, and then into the hairpin it's going to be the same old story where we overrun slightly, touch the green bit a little bit, and don't get a great exit. Jordan's going to be hounding the back of Vladimir in our mirrors, as you can see. So we were starting to pull away from 4th position. It was a 3-horse race at this stage in the race. 3 of us within a second of each other. So just, I'm trying to keep it cool, calm and collected, make no mistakes. Just keep it nice and stable. Don't kill my tires. And I'm not so much worried about the guys behind. I know they were faster in places. I was faster in other places. As long as I was keeping an eye on them into like places like here where they might go up the inside, and just keeping an eye on them, I knew I could manage the gap and manage the pace and just make sure there was a little bit more in me. As you can see, we're doing 33.9s. In practice I was doing 32.9s, different conditions, but the pace I was trying to manage and make sure that I didn't overcook my tires too quickly and then be under pressure. Vladimir goes wide here, doesn't get a good run. I think he might have got a slow down through there. That allows Jordan and releases him to come up to the back of us. There's now nothing between Jordan and I once again. Coming up to start lap number 6, we have 16, and Jordan right now is about a second behind, so we're going to have to manage the pace to him, keep an eye on him. He was quick, he was putting in some very fast lap times. As you can see in the top left corner, he had a lap time that was about a tenth of a second faster than us. So I knew he was going to keep us honest, he was going to keep us under pressure. It's a question of, will Vladimir behind start putting him under pressure, putting some moves on him, forcing him to go defensive. We don't get the greatest exit there out of the hairpin, and Jordan's now pulling a bit of a gap between him and Vladimir and catching up to us. So it's all a little bit of pressure right now. I'm going to have to manage my line, the way I'm driving, managing the pressure, managing the stress. I have raced a few times when I've been out in the front and kind of in top split when I've just had to keep my eye on my mirrors a little bit, and you do end up losing a little bit of time as you're focusing on your mirrors and not necessarily on braking points or what the car is doing. You do lose a little bit of time. Jumping ahead to lap number 8, we have started gaining time on third position. The gap now between Jordan and I to third is about 6 seconds. Jordan's right behind us, though. As we're coming into this right-hander, you're going to have to ride the curb here and then fling the car into the left-hander, ride the curb here and get out. If you look closely in the mirror, you will see that Jordan kind of caught it a little bit, and that forces him to slow down. He got a slowdown. Unfortunate for him, but it gives us a little bit of breathing room here on lap number 8 as we're about to start lap number 9, halfway through this race. So he's down, coming up to about 2 seconds now behind us as we come on to start lap number 9. Got a little bit of breathing room there. Although he was faster, I don't know if there's enough time for him to catch me, if he's catching me at only a 10th a lap, but a mistake here too by me, and he may go and catch me further. However, if you look in the relative, you will see that that time is just shooting up all of a sudden. He's now 7 seconds. So let's find out what happened to him. He's coming through here, he touches the grass a little bit, and that unsettles the rear as he comes through the right-hander braking and spins out. That basically, as long as I don't do something similar, that is basically the race for me. And as you can see here, it's lap number 16. I'm still in the lead. No mistakes on my end. Just kept it cool, calm and collected. Jordan is nowhere to be seen. And we are going to be taking our first top split win. It's been a long time coming here in PCup. I've been racing for a number of seasons in top split. And it is really good to get that first win. And I'm very, very happy with that first win. Even though the strength of field wasn't the strongest, I'm still going to take a win any day of the week. Race number 2 is an open setup. We qualified P3. Jordan out-qualified us. We didn't have a great qualifying session, but we do get a good launch, and we're going to see if we can get past Jordan in turn 1. We're on the outside, which is going to be difficult. He does have enough of an overlap that I have to give him a bit of room around the outside, and being on the outside, as I mentioned in the last race, is not the best place to be, so we are just going to have to slot in behind him in P3. Daniel had a decent lap in qualifying, but we'll see if he can turn that into a win for his end, see how his race pace is. And as we cut to the outside here, you're now going to see what happened on that. We do get a much better launch than Jordan. Not as good a launch as Daniel out in front, but Jordan is still sticking his nose in. I left him room. I had a suspicion that he would just send it up the inside. He does keep it tight. I was never going to really be able to hang around the outside, unfortunately. Just holding on now, as you can see here. Jordan thinks about a bit of a move coming out of the hairpin here. He's going to get a much better launch, and that does keep him on the back end of Daniel. We are just hanging with him right now. I'm watching my mirrors a little bit, just being cautious on this opening lap with cold tires, and just making sure that nobody goes for a silly move or that we get tangled up with anyone, because we're still in a pretty good position and we could still get a good result. Anything can happen. Tires could wear out, people could burn them out pretty quick, mistakes could happen like they did Jordan in the last race. As you can see, he runs a little wide here, so anything can happen. I am running the fixed setup for this one. For whatever reason, I just didn't have a open setup loaded, and I had no time to practice it, so I just stuck with what I knew, which was the fixed setup. It is going to be about a tenth, maybe 2/10 a lap slower, but we are going to have to manage that, and it is going to be a little bit understeery. Lap number 2 here now, and we're still about a second behind Daniel. Daniel overshoots turn 1. We get a little bit of a slide on the exit, but we're still keeping up with them. We got KC behind. He's about a quarter of a second behind, give or take. Coming into the hairpin again, he's going to be on our inside. A lot of people tried to do moves through that hairpin. I don't necessarily like it, because your move is on the inside. It compromises your exit, and it's a long straight, so if the person is on the high line, they're always going to have a better run out. Jordan now pulled away from us out of that hairpin, and he's right on the back of Daniel, as you can see. And from here, he's just going to be hounding. And I'm watching, I'm just paying attention, making sure I'm not too close that I get tangled up in any kind of trouble. And I'm trying not to target fixate. So when I see Jordan going for moves around Daniel, hounding onto the back of him, I'm keeping a bit of a gap, and I'm purposely doing this. I managing that gap, but I'm keeping a gap on purpose. Coming up to this right-hander, you're going to see Daniel and Jordan. Jordan cuts this right-hander, and Daniel cuts the left-hander. I didn't realize it at the time, but both of these two cars up in front get a slowdown from that. And what happens now is I think I get a really good run out of this right-hander, and I'm going to go for the move, but it's really just Jordan serving his slowdown. And I realize it once Daniel peels off to the right here, and now I've inherited the race lead. And that was also something, as we started lap number 3, it was also something that was in the back of my mind, that if you're right on the back of someone, it's hard to see the apex, it's hard to see where those slowdowns are, and it's also very easy to follow someone into their mistake. And that was something I was watching carefully, and that's why I kind of kept a half a second gap. We've now got a second lead over second place. Casey has come through past Daniel and Jordan also, so we've got a little bit of a gap, and we've got potentially a rear gunner. So as we come around now to finish lap number 3, the gap is about 1.2 seconds from Casey, and I'm in a pretty good position right now. A long way left in this race. I'm going to have to manage the tyres. I'm also running the fixed setup, not an open setup, so my tyres are probably going to scream a bit more than usual. Coming up to this right-hander once again on lap number 4, I'm going to do essentially the same thing. I cut the right-hander, and I knew immediately. I just saw the slowdown. I was like, you idiot, why? So I'm having to slow down a little bit. You can see in the relative, I've lost half a second here just by slowing down. I've lifted off, and Casey behind. I'm now going to have to pull over to the right. I didn't get enough of that slowdown before he caught up to the back of me. I didn't want to hinder him and slow down on the racing line, so I pull over and let him go, serving my slowdown. Jordan's now going to be right behind me, and now I'm going to have to play this weird game of Casey's going to be in front, I'm going to catch him, and we're going to be a little bit faster than he is, but I'm going to have to watch out for Jordan behind, because Jordan, I think, was a little faster than me throughout this race. In the previous race, he was about a tenth a lap faster than I was in places, but in open, he was definitely a little faster than that. He's probably 2, maybe 3 tenths of a second faster, just because I'm running the fixed setup. And you can see already Casey's pulling a bit of a gap and Jordan's right behind me, so I'm having to watch my mirrors while also trying to catch up to the car in front. So there's this weird cat and mouse game between the three of us, where I'm caught in this weird sandwich, and I'm trying to have to be as fast as possible but watching my mirrors. You're going to see here, as I come around this right-hander, I'm immediately going defensive because I know Jordan's right behind and I know he will send it, so I'm having to go defensive. That's going to compromise my line through here, which means Casey gets a little bit of respite from me, but also at the same time I'm still within a half second. I think I gained a tenth of a second on him throughout that right left-hander. As we're coming through here, this right-hander, you're going to see I'm going to take it much better than he does, and that allows me to catch up once again. I'm about a quarter of a second behind. I pulled away from Jordan. He was probably being a bit scared with that right-hander. I just made a silly mistake. It was just turning in ever so slightly early and being a bit too lax on my approach to that corner. That cost me the slowdown. It wasn't me pushing too hard, I just was probably a bit too lax. Starting lap number 6 now. We're going to think about a move into turn number 1, but we weren't really close enough, and I didn't want to risk a collision, so I didn't really go for it, and I kind of backed out of it. We're still about a quarter of a second behind Casey. A little bit of a gap to Jordan right now, but he's going to be fast through this left-hander, faster than the two of us. And as you can see here, he's closing that gap now in the relative, and I've lost a little bit of time to Daniel up in front. Difficult place to overtake through this left-right, just because it's such high speed, and if a car positions themselves well, it's very difficult unless you've got a massive gap. We're right nose to tail, first, second and third coming through here, and Jordan thinks about a little bit of a move there, but I think he was just trying to distract me. I honestly wasn't even paying attention to him. So coming through this right-hander, I'm going to have to go defensive again into the left-hand because Jordan's right behind. This time we're a bit closer to Casey, so we're going really, really defensive, forcing Jordan around the outside. Trying to watch for the switchback. We do get a good run through that left-hander. We're still a quarter of a second to the car in front, quarter of a second to the car behind. Once again, we're coming through this right-hander, and we're going to be right on the back of Casey once again. He goes a little bit wider. You see the back end slide out a little bit. We keep it a little bit tighter. I was trying to go for a little bit of a switchback, anticipating him running wide. He doesn't really run wide. And we are gaining a little bit on Casey more than Jordan was gaining on us through that section. We've got the run now. We've got the slipstream right nose to tail right now. I pull out of the slipstream. He goes a little defensive. We're right in the middle of the track. I'm going to have to rely on him. But I've got the high ground. I've got the advantage coming into turn 1. The ideal line. Exactly where you want to be. Unfortunately for Daniel, Jordan goes for a little bit of a move. But Daniel didn't cover it off, thinking he could try and possibly hang around the outside. If he'd covered that off, it would have stopped Jordan from going up the inside of him. And he loses essentially 2 places in one corner because he was trying to fight for one. And that's a weird kind of game that you got to play a little bit. Lap number 8, coming into this left-hander, you're going to see I get a little snap oversteer, and that is one mistake. The one mistake in this whole race that was so consequential. The slowdown was a mistake in itself, and that brought people in, but I was still in the lead. The problem was that one snap oversteer allowed Jordan now, who is slightly faster than I am, to get the high ground, to be in front of me. Can I hang on to him for the rest of this race and see if he makes a mistake like he did in the last race, or is he just going to drive off into distance? Right now, I don't know. I'm really kicking myself for that mistake. That one mistake has cost me the lead of this race, and I've left a faster car go through. Now, even though he was faster, I would back myself to have held him behind because of the layout of the track and the nature of it. Where he was faster was places where it was difficult to overtake, and in 1 or 2 areas I could easily defend, like into that left-hander where I made the mistake. I could usually defend. The problem was that one mistake just left him go through, and now we're going to try and keep on to the back. We are stronger through this right-hander. The gap isn't too bad, so I'm not too worried about the gap right now, and I'm just trying to keep on the back of him. I'm also kind of playing the long game a little bit. Lap number 12 here, the gap has increased slightly to about 0.7. I was trying to play the long game, trying to manage my tyres, hoping that he would burn them up a little bit by pushing a little too hard. There's only about 4 laps to go, so right now it's not looking great. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens. He has made a mistake in the past by pushing too hard, as we saw in the last race. So even though he is maybe a lap faster than I am at this stage in the race, who knows what happens. All it takes is one mistake, as you saw, and you can get past him again. So as the race winds down, we're going to be halfway through lap number 16. The gap has increased even further to 1.5, coming down to the last few corners. It is going to be a P2. Unfortunately, we couldn't do back-to-back wins, but I'll take a P2 any day of the week. This was a slightly stronger strength of field of 2.5k, so very, very happy with a P2 as well. And it was a good week for me. I gained over 100 iRating, pushing me up to 3.6k. So that was Zandvoort in PCup, guys. I'd like to think I was able to channel my inner Max Verstappen to get the win, as well as a nice second place. And if you like this video, guys, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the next video.